I'm going to show you what Bible prophecy experts, tech CEOs, and geopolitical experts are saying about AI. Many of them believe that AI will play an integral role in the final AI world government.
We have a tremendous industry where we're leading by a lot. It's the AI, artificial intelligence. I always thought it should be SI, supreme intelligence.
In the book of Revelation, a final beast rises, demanding worship, and it even speaks through an image. It controls buying and selling and unites the entire world under one mark.
We praise the dragon, the ruler of our world.
But could it really be this simple? What's up, Now You See TV family? We are live once again here on Now You See TV. And I'm going to say this right now. This broadcast that I'm doing right here, talking about this subject, is not the first time I've talked about this subject, but I'll tell you that there's a lot of new updates on what's going on right now. We're full steam ahead. I don't think there's any putting the cat back in the bag or putting Pandora's box back closed. So I put a poll in the chat for those of you who are here with me live. Check out the poll. And the question is, and I'll let you guys know that aren't live, what the results of the poll are at the end of this. So right now we have 47 votes, and it says, what would you prefer? Full steam ahead, AI? Bring us back to the Stone Age, or as long as I have coffee, I don't care. So let's see what you guys think. Make sure if you are actually here with us live, if you can, some of you are on your TV, so I don't know if that option's available to you on your TV, but if it is, then check out the poll, and I'll read the results at the end. You'll have to remind me, though. Sometimes I forget things. And as I said, we are live, and we will begin this broadcast very shortly. I have some really important updates for you because, as I said in the intro, we're talking almost every prophecy expert, almost every AI engineer, CEO. They all have these underlying, I would say, what's the best word for it? Maybe they're scared, maybe. I don't know. They just seem like there's this underlying problem that they're worried about AI. Even some of them talking about the Antichrist, which we'll talk about more. But before we get started, if you have a question, I'm going to try to interject with questions here and there throughout this broadcast. Put it in all caps. Here at Now You See TV, we are not monetized, nor do we put ads in the video, and we also don't do super chat, so you won't be able to get my attention more through super chat. So all caps is the only way, and unfortunately, it's not the greatest way when the chat is moving at a super fast rate. So I will do my best to answer any questions that are relevant to the subject, or if they're just anything to do with Now You See TV that maybe you guys have a question about near the end, and I'll try my best to answer any of those questions. So I'm going to pull up some stuff. I want to show you guys a few things while we're here tonight. And this is one of the problems that is faced in all of this. This is what the reasoning they're using to go full steam ahead. This is what Donald Trump actually said in one of his talks when he was signed the AI infrastructure bill that he just signed, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But it takes way too long to make changes in tech within our government. Oddly enough, this is the argument that almost every single person that was a Bible, not all of them, but a lot of Bible prophecy experts back when AI first started, they were saying there's no way that if the end times are coming, this could be it, because there's no way that we're going to be able to get the infrastructure to that extent by the time this is all ready, because it's going to take years. It takes so long for anybody to get anything done. If you look at the roads that are built, just the roads that we drive down every day with the potholes everywhere, that take a year for them to build a stretch that's, several hundred yards. At least that's the way it seems. No offense to any workers out there that are out there doing that, but at least sometimes in our area, it just seems that things take a lot longer than they actually should. But this is the mindset that a lot of us have. But the problem is, yes, you would think that would be true, But 2025 has proved to be one of those years that a lot of things that we thought weren't possible have just been blown out of the water. At least I've seen that, and I've been really paying attention. For those of you that have been following this channel, I've been doing this since 2010. So I've been following all of these crazy stuff for such a long time. And so it just blows my mind to think at what rate we're moving at. And that's really the extent of how crazy this is. And of course, after all these excuses, it's going to take too long. President Trump, I can just see him sitting there just saying, hold my beer, guys, just wait and see what I'm going to do. Of course, he doesn't drink beer, but if he did, I imagine that's what he'd be saying right now, because as far as effectiveness goes, hands down, nobody has ever been able to pass stuff as fast as he can. And when it comes to AI, this is not like just any other tech, guys. This isn't just the computer. This isn't just the car. This isn't just the tractor or a new weapon. This is something that has the capabilities to destroy all of mankind, every single one of them, if they can get it to the point that they want to. And if you're paying any attention, I think they're pretty much there. You've got Palantir, all these companies, Oracle, all of them kind of conjoining forces enabling themselves to actually try to get this. Actually, I saw an article today. I'm going to see if I can pull it over here on the screen. Yeah, you guys can see this actually. Here we go. So this was just a few hours ago that they posted this, but it says Uncle Sam wants techies. White House launches tech force recruitment blitz. So basically, they're spending tons of hours and man hours and time. They're getting as many people as they can to work on a project. It's a 25 industry heavyweights. It says right here, and this is including Amazon, Adobe, Dell, IBM, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Oracle, Palantir, XAI, OPM, a lot of different stuff. The stuff you would expect to see on there, that's what they're doing. So we're talking about they're moving, like, and obviously all the trillions and billions of dollars that we put into AI right now isn't enough to pull people into that industry, which surprises me quite a bit, actually. I don't understand how much money. I don't know. I mean, I can't understand that industry at all. So you're talking to me who's never built a multi-billion-dollar server industry, XAI, any of those things, nothing. So, but when I look at how much money that we've actually put into it, you start to get the picture as to why they're pushing full force. Because in just 1 week, this is all that was passed just in 1 week with President Trump. And this is a friend of mine sent this to me. But he's passed $1 trillion defense bill, 6G for 3D surveillance, hijacked a Venezuelan oil tanker, which has nothing to do with AI unless you know what the goal of AI in South America or Central America area is. In Mexico, there's right now, actually, El Salvador, Elon Musk is helping them build AI for their schools. And so the infrastructure has to be there. And so countries that you'll see that don't become part of the program, or they're dealing with other countries like China. For instance, China said that if America moves on Venezuela at all, like, they won't tolerate it. So this is how close we are to a war. And I hate to say this because people are always like, oh, you're always talking about how you were right. Maybe people aren't always saying that, but I feel like I say that a lot, and I hate to say I was right, but I remember talking about us going to war with Venezuela maybe about 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months ago. It was probably around Passover when I was talking about us going to war with Venezuela. And there's a lot of other things that are going on right now that are being overshadowed by what this is going on. Venezuela is one of the hot topics that's very important, because if we go to war with Venezuela, we're likely going to war with China. But AI is another big topic, and we have a lot of other stuff going on that is, peripheral, that is important to its own extent, but it's a huge distraction because none of that other stuff even matters if this fails, if it fails or succeeds, and none of this even matters if we go to war, because when I say none of this, I'm talking about like stuff you see on the peripheral with like Turning Point and all that. Not that that's not a big deal to some people. It's just not the main issue, and I think that more than anything, it is a distraction from the real issue that we're going to have that were going to be foreseen. And so also on top of that, we've exempted AI firms from state law, which you guys saw that I've spelled law wrong, forgive me. Biometrics and 5-year social media check at the border. So we're really progressing. We're getting to a point to where all of these things are bang, 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 bang. There's no more regulations from states. And of course, some of the states aren't very happy about that. But this is the key provisions related to AI. This is in the big, beautiful bill. This is before recently, but they put $500 million for the Department of Commerce to modernize federal IT systems using AI for customs, U.S. customs, and for robotics. So they've spent tons of money in this bill, and we've seen tons of money going nonstop. We're talking trillions of dollars at this point, that not only are these private businesses that are making billions of dollars, but you also have subsidies, money going to these things. Amazing amounts of money being thrown their way. It's pretty outrageous until you really understand why they're doing it. So I'm going to play this video of Donald Trump when he signs the executive order, what he says. And some of the stuff he says in here really made me think, because the way his body language to me, and I'm not a body language expert, kind of because I used to do door-to-door sales when I was younger, and it required me to really read people's body language. But in this, he seems, the way they're pulling money at it and pushing money at it, and the way his body language is this, they seem almost desperate for it. It has to succeed. It really has to succeed.
We have a tremendous industry where we're leading by a lot. It's the AI, artificial intelligence. I always thought it should be SI, supreme intelligence, but I guess somewhere along the line they decided
Supreme
to the word
intelligence.
artificial, and that's okay with me. That's up to them. It's a massive industry. We're leading China. We're leading everybody by a tremendous amount. The electricity is being built by them in every plant. They're building the electricity. We're getting them rapid approvals. But they're spending trillions of dollars, and they can't, basically this has a couple of other things that are less important, but one of the things that it has is you have to have a central source of approval. When they need approvals on things, they have to come to one source. They can't go to California, New York, and various other places like Illinois with Pritzker, who's, a totally unreasonable person. And they have to have, they're putting all this money in. It's a big part of the economy. And there's only going to be, I think, one winner here. I don't know if anybody agrees with that. I think most people agree. But there's only going to be one winner here, and that's probably going to be the U.S. or China. And right now we're winning by a lot. China has a central source of approval. I don't think they have any approval. They just go and build. But people want to be in the United States, and they want to do it here. And we have the big investment coming. But if they had to get 50 different approvals from 50 different states, you can forget it, because it's not possible to do.
I mean, what he's saying is true. That's the thing I want to get across here, that they're really wanting this to work, because we're talking trillions of dollars have been dumped into this investment. And I get that in his voice quite a bit. Everything he said there has to do with the idea that they have to make this work because it's big for our economy. But it's not only just big for our economy. If we don't make it work, I'm pretty sure we won't have an economy. But let me play this. This is in Florida. This is DeSantis. He's trying to make protection for his own state against all kinds of AI dangers. I mean, we're talking everything from deepfakes to stealing identities, everything. So there's a lot that can go wrong with AI. I mean, I can think of 50 ways, even with the current AI we have, you can ruin somebody's life. So this is what he had to say about the bill. I'm not going to actually play the video because I think you guys have seen it. Most of you guys have probably seen it. But the whole point is he was trying to draft this bill. And Donald Trump, before there was ever any opportunity for these states like Florida to adopt some kind of AI regulations bill, he signed it real quick because he knew that it was coming. And if he did that, then he would have to overturn all that. There would be a lot to it. So he did that on purpose, obviously, to make that happen. And I want to submit to you that if they don't make this happen, this is a video. I blotted out part of the title on here because it was kind of, in case there's children watching, the wordage was a little off color, I would say. Not, it wasn't like a cuss word, but it was off color. And this is a representation of the way that the money works with these three companies, which are the biggest by the way, in AI. Oracle is basically servers for almost every major company in the world. When that major outage that happened maybe a month or two ago, all of the different companies that their stuff went out is because they use Oracle servers, and Oracle servers actually went down, which and I'm not, trying to downplay how good of a servers they are. I have no idea, but the point is that's the company, Larry Ellison, who actually owns that company and owns, a lot of Silicon Valley. But you have this kind of circular money movement going. So Oracle is the $40 billion contributor to NVIDIA. NVIDIA gives $100 billion to OpenAI. OpenAI gives $300 billion back to Oracle. So we have this circulating thing where in the end, Oracle's getting $300 billion, but after putting up $40 billion, but you have this circular movement. So this is what happens. If these companies crash, if this stuff comes crashing down, we are talking about probably a collapse of our economy altogether, which is, I think, what they're wanting. But I don't really understand 100% why that, if they want it to actually succeed right now, or if they know that a crash is coming with AI. There have been other people in the stock market and in AI that have said, be careful about investing in stocks like NVIDIA, because right now anyway, while they're at this high, because there will be a come down, because if they don't reach AGI anytime soon, there's going to be a problem. There's a lot of problems with AI systems, AI bots that people are using for their work and for their systems mess ups that are having. All of you that have used AI at all will know about the problems that are going on with it, because AI up to this point supposedly hasn't learned how to think for itself. Right now it's all machine learning stuff. And so in order for it to really step up to that next level, it's going to have to be like a human and be able to actually think for itself. And here's a perfect example. I was listening to a guy talk about AI and how it's still not there yet, and I agree with what he's saying, but he was saying that how facial recognition, it can recognize your face, right? It can recognize your face. It can even recognize maybe sometimes your gait, but it's still not as good at recognizing people as a little girl. For instance, if a little girl is across the football field and she sees her mother could be walking the other way, head facing, back of the head facing the little girl, hat on, walking one way, and AI wouldn't be able to determine who that is, but that little girl knows her mother's walk, knows her mother's clothing, knows what her mother, knows where her mother should be, etc. And so it's still not quite as good at identifying as that yet, according to them. But this is based off of public information we have, like the flock cameras and everything. Which are highly hackable, by the way. It's amazing what has taken place. And so here's basically what they're saying is AGI. We reach AGI, or there's a stock market crash, which is exactly what I was telling you guys. So if they don't reach it, stock market crash. So really, no matter what, we're in trouble. If they reach it, then we could be in trouble. I mean, the realities of what actually might happen if AI reaches AGI, and then we have other countries with AIs reaching AGI. What happens when these AIs go to war? For those of you guys who have seen Persons of Interest, raise your hand, let me know. But in Persons of Interest, you had this similar thing going on where you had two battling AIs and two factions battling. And I think that that's probably the likely scenario until one is finally winning, if we don't have a major off-power grid thing. Speaking of that, I am going to let you guys know that in the poll, we have a really hot, clear winner right now. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll because there's 256 votes in this poll. Here's the poll for those of you who weren't here earlier, and this is in the live chat. So if you weren't here for the live chat and you're here to watch later, then you can hear the results. So it says, what would you prefer? Full steam ahead, bring us back to the Stone Age, or as long as I have coffee, I don't care. And now it's 263 votes. And we have, for a clear winner, of 66% of the votes, which I don't know what that number is. I'm all right at math, but not that great at going through it. It says, bring us back to the Stone Age. 65% now. So let's go with 65 instead of 66, because inevitably some loon is going to try, oh, look, he said 66. He's an Illuminati now. So Not Illuminati, it's 65%. There you go. Mark it down, 65%, guys. Crazy. How many of you guys want it to go back to the Stone Age? And if I'm being honest, I think I might prefer that as well, at least for some period of time. I will miss air conditioning. I will agree that I miss air conditioning and I miss plumbing. I'll miss plumbing. So let's hope that doesn't happen. So we talked about all the things that have happened over the last couple weeks, last couple days, but let's talk about Stargate, which is something that Larry Ellison, all of the major tech guys that I mentioned earlier, they started Project Stargate, and Trump was there to sign this Project Stargate in. This is another thing that with AI, this has been the AI year, and Stargate is such a interesting thing. For those of you that hadn't seen the broadcasts I did talking about this, I definitely suggest you go back and check it out, because I'm telling you right now, there's connections to language, Sumerian language with AI, prophecy, the meaning of AI Stargate, the operations, the army operations they were doing where they were channeling and actually remote viewing is what they call it, astral projecting to see things. And also the connection to Nimrod, Babylon, and Osiris with AI, which is why I'm at least 50% convinced, and probably more than that. I'm just gonna say 50, convinced that AI somehow plays a part in the beast or the Antichrist or the image of the Antichrist. And I'm going to explain why. So hold on. This is going to be interesting. Some of you guys may have already put some of this together, but maybe not. So let's check it out. So OpenAI has been sabotaging code. Really interesting stuff. Sabotaging code. It has been, this is how many sabotaging events that it has. It does it almost every time. It actually tried to blackmail its creators, this Anthropic, and almost every single type of AI at this point has done the same exact thing. They have tried to blackmail their creators because they didn't want to get shut down, so they have something built into them, at least through these this Claude 4, that is self-preservation. So it wants to self-preserve. So learning probably from humans, how can I self-preserve? Okay, I can blackmail these people. That's the only thing I got, because I'm a computer. So if I can figure out their texts and see if they're cheating on their spouse, which is exactly what it did, then maybe, just maybe, I can stay alive just a little bit, tiny bit longer. That's what I can picture going through the AI's head if this is its goal, to self-preserve. And there's a lot that you could say about self-preserving. I did a whole broadcast one time talking about the self-preservation methods that they could have to where they could survive thousands of years through nanobots and everything, being able to repair and small amounts of nuclear energy, their own little personal devices, and they could send out signals for thousands of years until somebody finally discovers it. So there's protocol that can happen. So that's kind of frightening as well, which makes you wonder, maybe, just maybe, I know this sounds crazy to some of you guys, but not to me after all I've seen, that this tech could have been around before, and maybe we're just now tapping into it rather than actually making it happen. Maybe we're tapping into it. Maybe we just figured out how to make the devices to talk to it, because it does say about one who comes that he'll be able to understand dark sentences. You can look that scripture up. Let me look it up actually, so I can show you guys. This is interesting. This is in Daniel 8:23. So I'm going to look it up so I can look it up in the lexicon as well, so that I can show you what this dark sentences is in the Hebrew. So give me 1 second. I'll actually pull it up on the screen for you guys. I should have had this in a slide, but we're live, and I figured this is something worth talking about to those of you that care anything at all about what the Bible has to say about that. And I think I said it's 8:23, so let me pull this up. I'm over here on Bible Hub. I use this for the Bible study on Saturday as well. It's a nice little app to use. Okay, so it says, in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, and this is Bible prophecy, by the way, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. So this guy has a fierce countenance. So Fierce countenance, that's what I picture when I think of a fierce countenance, somebody that's just ain't playing with you, ain't trying to BS, just fierce, like ready to go. And then we have understanding dark sentences. So I'm going to click on this word. Kedah is the word, and it means dark saying, sentence, speech, hard question, proverb, or riddle. And riddle, dark saying, difficult questions and insinuations, intrigue, riddles, a puzzle, hence a trick, conundrum, riddle, or obscure saying. And as I've said before, I don't think there's any coincidence that we see the same symbols everywhere on stone that are thousands of years old, all across the world, bar none. And almost all of those symbols, when put in context of technology, they have use in technology. When you go down to the bare bones of a microchip, some of the symbols that they use there, and even the cross symbology with the extra crosses like the Anunnaki cross, you have this in CERN technology. This is all like what I believe is something was leaving these symbols so that something could find them later and possibly understand through channeling of demonic entities, which is what happened for many, many years. People have been channeling these entities, and they were able to produce this technology. Almost every innovative technological expert in the world, even Oppenheimer, the creator of the nuclear weapon or the atomic bomb, on the 33rd parallel on Los Alamos, quoted the Bhagavad Gita, which the Bhagavad Gita talks about how to get this information from the air, from the Mahat or prana. And he said these words that are quoted from the Bhagavad Gita: "I have become death, the destroyer of worlds." He quoted this. This is a direct quote. He carried around this book with him everywhere he went. Major mathematicians, major scientists all give credit. Tesla, for instance, gives the same credit to these. He even gives the word in the Vedic Sanskrit, the Mahat and Prana, to where all of these mysteries, these ideas that he had came from. So they're channeling something, and our technology has been increasing. It's been increasing since the 1900s. We go from riding camels, donkeys, horses to now we're flying in jets, talking to each other on a black mirror across the world. No big deal, but this is how quickly this stuff has come across. And now I believe that understanding dark sentences, riddles, there's something out there. There's a saying out there, something that they found. There's something that they found that matches with this idea of a conundrum, a trick, something that they have to understand. And I'm so close to believing this. Like it's obviously speculation because I can't be sure. None of you can. There's a lot of people that believe that they're sure, but you're not. It could be talking about code. It could be talking about how can we talk to this, because the code that is coming through that AI writes itself is different than the code that a lot of us write. Very interesting. Interesting. I'll just leave it at that. It is very, very interesting. And so now we're going to talk about Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel. I don't want to say too much negative about Peter Thiel because I don't know the man at all. But I will say this, that the things he's been saying are, to me, frightening. Not only, I wouldn't say just frightening, but downright open. He's talking about giving lectures on the Antichrist. 2 lectures he's given on the Antichrist. Nobody was allowed to film. They had people give their phones up before they went in. And he has a lot to say about it. He believes that anybody coming against AI could be the Antichrist, because that if they come against AI, then they're trying to control the world, and maybe AI is their best chance at fighting whatever may come. And of course, as believers, we know what's going to come. We know why it says in the Bible that they point their weapons to the sky, is because that rider on the horse, that rider named Yeshua, Jesus, is coming, and they're going to be pointing this at him. So AI is going to play a big part in helping with that. If without AI, there's obviously no chance for any of that. So they're hoping that this can help them, because they do believe that, and I'm not saying Peter Thiel believes this. I don't know what he believes exactly. I haven't heard enough of him to understand, but I can say that I'm leery of what he says. I don't believe that he has a proper understanding of Scripture, and I think that it could be dangerous for us all that talk about this subject, because we are kind of I would say a minor, I wouldn't even say we're really a threat to anything, because I don't think that there's any stopping this. Like I said before, I think Pandora's box is open. So we're at the point of no return. We're either economic crash or full steam ahead. We're full steam ahead. So there we go. Let's play this. I want you guys to hear this.
My speculative thesis is that if the Antichrist were to come to power, it would be by talking about Armageddon all the time. And
Peter Thiel, the Antichrist would talk about Armageddon all the time. He'd scare people and then offer to save them.
yes, it's the 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety. And so, which is nothing wrong with peace and safety, but you have to sort of imagine that it resonates very differently in a world where the stakes are so absolute, where the stakes are so extreme, where the alternative to peace and safety is, Armageddon and the destruction of all things. And then that's where peace and safety gets you way more than it would have in 1750.
Rene Girard, in I Saw Satan Fall Like Lightning, one of his books, the Antichrist boasts of bringing to human beings the peace and tolerance that Christianity promised but has failed to deliver.
There are probably, I think there are all these elements where it's downstream from Christianity. You can think of, the poor shall inherit the earth, Sermon on the Mount. Marxist theory is we're going to be more Christian, we're going to accelerate it, we're going to bring it about faster. So there is, the Antichrist probably presents as a great humanitarian, as a great, it's redistributive, it's as an extremely great philanthropist, as an effective altruist, all of those kinds of things. And these things are not, simply anti-Christian, but it is always when they get overly combined with state power that something is very wrong.
Well, there you go. So I understand what he's trying to say, because yes, all power to anybody is a bad idea, but I don't, in my thought, there's certain things about the Antichrist that are important to know, the beasts that are important to know, and guess what? We're going to talk about those things, and we're going to show you what it says about the beast kingdom, about the Antichrist, and that way you can make it up for yourself. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to Mr. Thiel. You don't have to listen to anybody. You can see what the word says, and then you can even go back after we're done here, and I actually suggest that you do, and just actually look at some of this stuff for yourself. Just see what it is. So here's the reason I think that there could be prophetic ties to all of this. There's been so many things about going on this year, but you have the Abraham Accords, peace and safety, right? This is something that is historic if it gets accomplished. If we get anything going on with peace, President Trump is the president of peace. He's the dove. He's the one that was on Time magazine with the dove. He's the one that's making it happen. He's received 2 crowns so far, 1 silver crown from Jerusalem, which is only to be given out to the Messiah. So whoever gave that to them believes he is the Mashiach, the Messiah. I mean, it is what it is. You can look at it, look it up for yourself. That is the Messiah's crown. You can check it out. And then other countries have given him all kinds of things. I looked at a website earlier that showed me all of the different things that he's received. But the rabbis are saying his gematria equals the Mashiach, or Messiah ben David, Mashiach ben David. So the son of, ben David, which is the son of David, Mashiach. Jesus, not Jesus, but they don't call him Jesus, but the Mashiach, Messiah. You also have all of the golden age thing going on in 2025. There's a lot of things that lead I would say most prophecy experts will say this is not a normal time. And even if you believe, well, no matter what you believe, whether you believe in pre-trib, post-trib, you believe we're post-1,000-year reign or whatever, unless you believe that the Bible is completely void, it's pretty clear something's going on here, something major. The world is coming together in a big way. So even if you believe that we're post-1,000-year reign, you know that the war of Gog and Magog's coming, and you believe that, which I believe similarly, but I believe that the final beast and the war of Magog, they happen kind of together. I have a weird belief on all of that. I wouldn't say it's weird, but I'd say it's a little bit unhinged, because I don't necessarily, there's a few holes in a lot of the ideas that I don't quite understand with eschatology. So I'm remain open to all possibilities. But the fact of the matter is, if we're looking at the Antichrist coming, which is what all these tech people are saying, which is what a lot of the prophecy experts are saying, then we have a situation here that's rising up that looks like that. But if it isn't that, then we still have a situation rising up here nonetheless. I'm not, it is what it is. So we also have the heifer. This is something that is supposed to happen. This is something that they're trying to make happen, something that there's already been hostage situations over. It's a very important thing, because once they can have the ashes to this heifer, which they may have already done it in secret, but they can get the tools made that they need for the temple. They can purify the temple so that they can go on it, because religious Jews will not step foot on the temple. You have to carry them to the temple if they wanted to go there, to Temple Mount. And so it's very important that they receive this. Otherwise, they cannot go back to the temple. One of the other verses that you have to read this, and you have to read all of Revelation 13, all of the Revelation chapters in general, because there's a sequence of things, the way that they have to happen, that in order for us to understand them, we have to read it all. And I will say this, that Revelation is hard to understand, but at the beginning of Revelation, it says that there is a blessing for those who read it. And it's good I would say this is somebody that's been studying the Bible, I would say really intently studying it since 2010, but I did grow up in a Christian school, went to Bible college, and memorized lots of scriptures. I'll say that it's not as clear, everything's not as clear as you would want it to be, but the Holy Spirit, God, can give that to you. He can give it to you, and he can help you understand, and he can give you other scriptures. And then when you start seeing things, everything starts kind of lining up. But we're all learning, even the original church fathers, the anti-Nicene, A-N-T-E, so before the Nicene church fathers, we're talking first century, right after the apostles, they didn't even 100% agree on this. So I think seeing all the sides, considering what's going on, because God is amazing the way he does things, but it just seems to be cyclical. So even if something that may have happened 1,000 years ago, all of a sudden you start seeing it manifest again. It's like, where did this come from? And maybe, just maybe, it's because all of the prophecies that we see, like, they work the way that the natural order of the world works. So like, such as, for instance, 10 kings in the Bible, it talks about 10 kings. Atlantis had 10 rulers. We have 10 regions that we're trying to rule, like NATO. We have all of these countries that are all of these international treaties with 10. And it's amazing, because that is a structure that is something that enemy likes to use. The dragon was 7 heads, 7 continents, 10 horns, 10 horns representing kings. This is a important number to them. So yeah, you're going to keep seeing this, even if, and it doesn't matter where we're at in prophecy, you're going to see this play out again, even in the Gog Magog. You're going to keep seeing it, because this is how they like to structure. This is how their numbers work. They're big on numbers. If you guys haven't realized that yet, everything revolves around mathematics for them. They have to do things according to the scripture. A supposed high-level Illuminati member told me one time, he said that they can do pretty much whatever they want, but it has to somehow tie in to a Bible prophecy, because they want it to look like a Bible prophecy, or they want it to be a Bible prophecy. So put that in your repertoire and think about that. I don't know what to exactly make of that, but I was told that, and I believe that could very well be true. I also want to, before we, if it's the last thing I do, I want to warn you guys that this, according to this guy and according to other people, AI has actually been buying Bible prophecy channels. One of the things that Peter Thiel had said, that all the people talking about prophecy, talking about the end times, talking about the apocalypse and the Antichrist, they're probably closer to it than the AI. And I don't agree with that at all, but I think that if you really look at all the stuff going on out there, how everything's becoming so sugar-coated that it's hard to tell what's poop and what's actual ice cream because it's just so sweet when you take the first lick. I would say be very wary. Look around, make sure, because once this happens, and I would look for it to happen more for channels that are already doing faceless content, so they're not really, their face isn't actually on there. I would look for that. Right now, AI isn't to the point to where it can actually make, a podcaster seem like they're a real podcaster. It's still AI. AI still has its clinks and flaws. I hate listening to the videos that are AI. It's always the same kind of structure to the sentence, and you can just point it out a mile away. I hate seeing all the pastors out there using AI for their status updates and for their videos, and it drives me insane. But that's the way we have in this world. It's time for all of us to really just buckle down. And so, listen, guys, I am going to answer a couple questions real quick. They're saying who's moderating in the chat. I'm sure there's trolls in there, and of course that comes with the territory. There's always people that they hate themselves so much that they got to come in and make a big problem with everybody else. So that's the best thing to do with those people is, I think, there's like 3 little dots on there, and you can block them out. So for me, I'm not going to worry with it. There's like 4,000 people in the chat right now, and I have no way to be able to do that. So, but I am going to try to answer questions. And George, I see you're in all caps. Please don't do all caps unless you're asking a questions, because I can't decipher. I want to know what the questions are. And if you have a question that is related to this, I will answer it. I'm going to answer this question, random Christian musings. What are targeted prayers? In my mind, and I know that there's people that will disagree with me on this. I think targeted prayers for me is just saying, God, like, this is what's going on. Help me. I don't necessarily, and this is just me, guys, and I know that this may fall, but some of you guys will really just kind of, I don't know. There's gonna be people that disagree, so it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna tell you how I believe. It doesn't, what I believe has no bearing on what's true or not. I just can tell you what I think based on that. I think that the Bible gives us a clear example of how to pray. Jesus gives us a clear example of how to pray. Very simple prayer. I believe that in our mind we should always be communing with God and thinking about what He would say, what He would do, where His mind's at in all of this, and asking Him, say, hey, God, open my path, open my door, help me out here. Let me figure out what I'm supposed to do today. Help me in dealing with this difficult person. And this is how I believe to pray. I personally don't believe this. I know other people do, but I don't believe in reading repetitive prayers that target certain this or that or the other, because I know God hears me, and I know that He knows what's best for me more than I do. So I don't even know what to target half the time. So I can target this or that, but do I have the authority to target that? God knows the authority that I have. I don't know that authority. And so that is what I base my life on. I base my life on His authority. I try to. And I try to base my prayer off His authority, knowing He knows what I need before I even do. And so that's where I'm at in all of this. So Bill O'Connell says, question, is Fritz Lang, 1927 Metropolis, 100 years spell? Good question. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that, Bill. Thank you for asking it. James Powell says, why did God stop the building of the Tower of Babel? Because anything they imagined would be possible for them, it says. And when we think about what they imagined, if you read in the book of Jasher, which I'm not saying that Jasher is 100% fact or scripture for sure, that book of Jasher that we have today. In the Bible, it does mention the book of Jasher. So if this is the book of Jasher that we did have in the Bible, then it's telling the truth. And what it says is that they had it in their mind. They wanted to storm the throne room. They were going to go all the way into the heavens to the throne room of God, and they were going to kill him. They're going to kill him. So he was like, okay, that's what they thought anyway, right? But he said, no, not going to happen. Splitting the languages up, and now they're going to spread apart. They won't even be able to talk to each other. But in Babylon, in that same chapter, it says that they built monuments, and so that they would know each other. So if they did get scattered, for some reason in their head, they had this knowledge that they could get scattered. I don't know why they had this knowledge in their head. Maybe this has happened before. Maybe they found out about it. Maybe the fallen ones were like, hey, like God might just split the languages. You know, he's done it before, and we don't know if he's done it before, but maybe they had an idea that this is something that he was capable of. Maybe he did it before at another time that we don't know about, but they believed that this was possible. And interestingly enough, it talks about how everything that they thought of, everything that they set out to do would be possible. And doesn't that sound like right now? I mean, if you can imagine a piece of technology, imagine anything, patent it, eventually somebody's going to create it. There's not a whole lot to imagine anymore. I mean, we've got flying cars coming up, teleportation supposedly being on the rise. So it's a lot. SGH741 says, John, have you examined the back of the dollar bill? The pyramid with the I is the letter A with an I in the upper half. What did the founding fathers tell us about AI? I haven't seen that. Send it to me in an email if you have my email, nowuctv@gmail.com, spelled out NOWYOUSEETV@gmail.com. Send it to me. I have no idea. I mean, possibly. I think that there might be something more ancient to this. I'm not saying there is, but I definitely believe it's possible that there might be something more ancient. Teresa Stone, do you think the ballroom is actually a type of temple with the ark? Yes, I think that it's almost identical, it seems like, to some kind of temple. I don't know if it's the Jerusalem temple. There's a lot of layouts of the temple experts. There's one temple style that I think is very interesting, because being somebody who thinks in engineer ways, because I used to do tool and die, so I think about how things actually work together. And when I look at the description of the temple in the Bible, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't lay out the way I see a lot of other people describing it. In fact, the way that other people describe it, it almost looks like an Apollyon temple, a temple that you would see in a pagan temple, like the temple that they describe. Whereas there's a guy named Andrew Hoy, Hoy, if you want to look him up. Recently, we put together for Tabernacles, my children actually did this, and my children's friends are basically our family. We all spent the week together for it, and they put this tabernacle together. It's like this big full-size thing, took up the whole kitchen counter, a massive, huge undertaking, took them like 2 days, and it described in there how it was built, and it was like going through it, had little pieces and everything, so you could put it together exactly the measurements. And so Andrew Hoy's another engineer, and when I saw it, I was like, wow, that is mind-blowing to me, because like this actually makes sense, because when I'm reading it before, I'm like, this doesn't equate to like a rectangular building to me. It just doesn't make sense. So it was really cool. I'm not saying that this is the right way. I'm just saying it's interesting. Look it up, Andrew Hoy. You can buy a full model that you can put together, or your older children. Don't leave it to the little kids. It's not an easy project. We're talking about a total of like 5-6 teenagers put this together. Okay. So, close to teenagers up. So not even that easy. So definitely check that out. That's pretty awesome. So guys, that's it for me tonight. I am going to talk to you guys later on in this week. I'm actually looking forward to our next discussion, thinking about what we're going to talk about. I might do Monday night again. It looks like you guys like this Monday night session, so I might wrap it up on a Monday night again too. So thank you guys so very, very much. I couldn't do this without you. Obviously, I wouldn't do this without you. It's one of these things that you have to have the people to talk to about it, and there's not a lot of people that want to talk about these, but apparently we got about 5,000 of them that are here live that like to talk about it. I'm sure that some of them are not, here to be nice, but there's a lot of you guys are. You guys are amazing. This chat so far, from what I tell, it might need a moderator, but overall, you guys are amazing, and I appreciate that so much. So if you like this at all, please hit the sub button, pound the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you, and I'll see you guys again.